Hi, welcome back to our unit on the movement of human labor and about human trafficking. So before we start, and Keith, would you like to share with our students, right, our definitions or our understandings of trafficking first?
Okay, well, for me, when I heard the word trafficking, it went back to my days of watching television and CSI and Miami Vice, when trafficking was all about illegal drugs in America. And I never considered anything more than illegal drugs, really.
So when we kind of discuss, right, trafficking, we're thinking about goods rather than human beings. But as the reading says, maybe in ancient times, right, we transport human beings, right, from one place to another place, and we treated, right, these human beings as goods as well. Then.
Yeah, we treated them as animals insofar as and goods. And it's a long time ago that, how far do we go back? We've talked to Alex's music teacher, talked about it going back to the Roman times, and before then we had the Dark Ages in the UK, where people would have battles and fight, and the victors would take the losers as slaves.
Yes, as right, Alex music teacher said, right, in the conversation that in ancient, right, Greek time, these Greeks, right, when they conquer some places, they may take the children or people there back as slaves. And because I major in theater, and I even read a play that a scholar rewrote it and saying, okay, the slaves' language using in this place should be like African Americans. They use some slangs, cause right, they were slaves. They came from different areas, so they talk differently from those masters, those Greeks then.
That's right, and evolution has taken place throughout peoples, and it's always been the ones with the greatest technology who have ended up being the victors. The Egyptians were the first with high technology, and they overpowered and used the Hebrews as slaves back in biblical times. The Greeks and Romans developed new catapults and new ways of fighting, and the Roman Empire stretched around about 2,000 years ago all the way to the British shores, and Britain was overrun and taken over by the Romans, who brought Latin to our shores, but many Britons were taken as slaves in that process.
Yes, that's very traumatic, I would say, and for this, right, human beings, we get to transport it to other places, and they probably don't even speak that language.
That's right.
Well. And it's not mentioned in the reading, but I think our students may wonder, did that happen in China as well? I would say, of course, right, it did, right? There was slavery in Chinese history as well. Because, right, in Chinese history, those, right, Han people would like to conquer other tribes or other nearby nations. And I think that's the same thing with the slavery. And they will take these, right, defeated people and, right, take them back and use them as slaves. We will say, now we still need like cheap labor, but then it's like free labor. They need these human beings to do this hard work.
That's right, and it's not just hard work, it's basically all the work. If you go back again sometime to when the Roman Empire began to collapse around about 400. But as soon as they left England, England was then invaded by the next people, which was the Germans and the Jutes and the Francos. And they brought with them their slaves. And so the language changed as a result of that. So the Britons suddenly started to speak a little bit of French, a little bit of Latin, a little bit of German, all while they were the slaves of what has become the master race, whoever was in charge at that time.
So I think it's really difficult for these people. They come to other countries and not out of their will, but by force. And sometimes they will be imprisoned, right?
Absolutely. I mean, just pure in England by itself, the Angles came from the area around Denmark. the Saxons came from Saxony
Yes.
and formed together. And so what we see from human nature is that there has always been slavery.
Yes. And I think the transportation or the business, right, comes from slavery is really profitable. Right? Maybe in the past and even for now as well.
Okay, so let's ask the students some questions
Okay.
about what we've been talking about.
Yes. So we got two questions for you. So the first question was there slavery in China? And Keith, for
Okay.
the second
The
question?
second question, can you think of anywhere where there maybe has never been any slavery whatsoever? Write your answers down on a piece of paper, and when you can, discuss them as a group.